Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/AITA. In today's episode, AITA for not telling my wife just how much my late wife left our children? AITA for only paying for my wife and I at a restaurant? AITA for kicking only my sale out, which meant she had to fly home early from vacation? Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. AITA for not telling my wife just how much my late wife left our children? I was married to Sammy for 8 years and we had 2 children together, Delaney, now 18F, and Finn, now 17M. Sammy had been born with a serious heart defect that was left undiagnosed for many years. It was during her pregnancy with our daughter where she learned about this, though some health issues over her life had been a sign that was ignored by doctors. During her pregnancy with our son, she went into total heart failure, and between one thing or another, she realized she would not get another heart in time. Sammy came into money a few years before her death. We had always talked about that going toward our kids' college expenses. When she realized it was unlikely she would live long enough to see them past kindergarten and first grade, she asked me how I would feel about her parents being in charge of the money. My family are not good people, and our concern was always, if the money was left with me and something happened to me, my family would find a way to get their greedy paws on it. They would have spent that money without a second thought for their grandchildren/niece/nephew, and in all likelihood would have left them with nothing. So I said yes. Sammy's death came way too soon, but she was peaceful in the end. 4 years later, I met my current wife Nat, and after a 2-year relationship we got married. Nat has 2 girls who are 14 and 12. When Nat and I sat down to discuss finances, college funds, etc., I told her that Sammy had left our kids some money, never disclosing exactly how much, and just mentioned that we would not need to save for the kids' college. It was different with her girls. Her ex, their father, had stolen the money Nat saved for the girls. So we started saving together. But it was not a lot. When Delaney told me she wanted to go to college and that she was strongly considering community college, I sat both her and Finn down and told them about the money. I told her it was not to pressure her, but if she wanted to go away for college, there was money available. Delaney chose to keep the money for a house in the future, and Finn mentioned he would likely do the same with his share. Delaney mentioned it in front of Nat over the summer, and Nat was confused by her comment about it buying a house. She asked how much money it was, and she was furious with me when Delaney told her. She said I should have disclosed just how much my kids had access to. I asked her why. It was their money, it was nothing to do with her. She said I was too vague and I should trust her as my wife. This has been a tension between us since. AITA? NTA. I asked her why. It was their money, it was nothing to do with her. End of story. If anything, Nat should be happy that thanks to this inheritance you can save money solely for her children's college fund. Imagine having to split your saving between 4 kids, not 2. That's what we have been doing. I think she believes we should have been saving more for the girls, given how much of a difference there will be between what they'll have going to college, if they go, and what my kids have on hand. If 'twas enough money to fully pay for college, then it should be enough money to buy a house, right? And if it's not house buying kind of money, then it might not have been enough to pay for college. And if that's the case, then Nat was pretty comfortable with you two saving for college for her daughters and not contributing anything to your older kids' college fund, knowing that they would need the money years before her kids did. That's concerning. And since she took your word for it that the money was enough for their college, then she shouldn't now get mad because it never occurred to her that the money was so much. What difference does it make? She knew there was money. She knew it was enough for college. Unless she's mad that she doesn't have access? Or that her kids can't get a share? NTA. NTA. Your late wife's gifts to her children are neither your current wife's business nor concern. Opie's partner's ex is still alive and can unsteal their money anytime. His first wife is dead and her money is irrelevant to any current family discussion. New wife should be happy they only have to pay for 2 kids. Would she be as willing to split the current savings with the 2 older kids if they didn't have an inheritance? NTA. It has nothing to do with her. Sounds like she's more pissed that she's not getting any of it for her kids. NTA money was there before your current wife, allocated for a specific reason. Her reaction is probably because she wanted some of that money for her children's college. NTA. It's not your money, it belongs to your children. The money is unrelated to her. AITA for only paying for my wife and I at a restaurant? I, 24M, and my wife, 24F, are newlywed couples. My wife has 4 friends who she has been really close with since high school. For a celebration, my wife decided to go to an expensive steakhouse. The day comes and we go in separate cars there. We all eat and my wife slides the bill, $700 plus, and proceeds to say, "The man should always pay for the wife and her friends." I laugh awkwardly, saying why. She says, "Because I'm the man." I tell her that the only other person I would pay for would be you and me. Her friends proceeded to laugh at me, calling me a broke husband. I stand up and put 2 $100 bills for me and my wife's food and leave. My wife gets home and starts screaming at me, saying I made her feel embarrassed. How she promised her friends I'd pay. And that her friends made fun for her on the ride home for marrying a man who can't pay the bill. I decided to pack a bag and head to my friend's house. I told my parents/friends and they say I should have just paid it. Now I'm having second thoughts if I overreacted. AITA? Edit 1. Hi guys, I've read someone comments if my wife has ever acted like this. And she never has. That why I just laughed awkwardly. The only other time she did this was when I didn't buy her mom food. Which happened when we first started dating. And it was the first time she ever screamed at me like that. Instead of escalating it, I just left. And when we do argue, it's not a screaming match. For how long we have dated? I've known her since freshman year of high school. And got together junior year. Dated for 8+ years. I read some comments and decided to go talk to her tomorrow about what happened, why she did that, etc. I do recognize that I didn't pay the full amount of me and my wife's dinner. I do take fault in that. I should have added another $50 to $75 to make it the price of 2 people. For the people who say I forgot to tip, I go there regularly with my coworkers, each pay for their own plate, and always leave a good tip. My wife gets home and starts screaming at me. Does she always react in such a way? Why people think it's okay to scream at their spouse is beyond me. She's just continuing her selfish behavior with a temper tantrum. I found it hilarious she told the friends Op would pay without asking Op and then tried to call him broke when they couldn't pay their own bill. NTA. Your wife should have talked to you about it before telling her friends you'd pay, not assume. I agree, but it sounds like the wife told the friends it was their treat. The whole thing is so bizarre. AITA for kicking only my sale out, which meant she had to fly home early from vacation? I, 29F, have a half-brother, James, 37. James is married to Lindsay, 35, and they have 2 kids, 4F and 2M. I invited James, Lindsay, and the kids to visit me this past week, and they were meant to stay until next Friday. Lindsay and I have always got on fine, except for the fact that she's always had a weird attitude to me being SAHW/M. She always asks me if I'm going to ask my husband before making non-essential purchases, or asks me if I feel bad relaxing while he's working, or suggests I do things for him as a thank you to him since I'm apparently not doing anything else. I know that James and Lindsay are big on splitting costs, and while he pays for everything for both kids, he won't pay for Lindsay, despite making about 25x her salary. Being that that's the relationship they're happy with, I just roll with the comments, because my marriage must look weird to Lindsay. However, there is a line. A few days ago we were sitting on our rooftop drinking wine after the kids went to bed. Lindsay was admiring the view and made a comment about how much our apartment cost. James must have told her, and asked if my name was on the deed. She then said half of X amount, penthouse just for lying on your back? X work is way more lucrative than I thought. Both my husband and James laid into her for the comment. I was obviously furious and told Lindsay first thing in the morning she had to get out. She wasn't staying here after speaking to me like that, especially when she wasn't even apologetic. I felt bad for ruining James and the kids' trip, but both my husband and I were too angry to have Lindsay there. The next morning, Lindsay asked if she could stay. She said James wasn't willing to end the trip early and wanted to stay, but she couldn't afford to stay in a local hotel. She blamed her comment on the wine, but her apology/explanation seemed so insincere and was clearly based on having no choice. I told her this and said even if she did mean it, I just needed some space from her and didn't want her around after what she said, because when put on top of what she's been saying for years, it's obvious that's what she thinks. James then said he wasn't paying for her hotel because it was her own actions that got her kicked out, and she would have to fly home early and he'd fly back with the kids as planned, which is what happened. Lindsay has since laid into me over text and social media for forcing her to go home early without her kids. Both my mother and James's have said I was wrong for kicking Lindsay out. James's mother said I should have just let her stay for James's sake and not invited them back. My mother says I should have kicked all of them out because now Lindsay has to be away from her kids. I don't think I'm the for kicking out the person who made the comment, but not the person who defended me and innocent kids. Did I handle it like an Because it was her own actions that got her kicked out. There, this, and that. This is all that is needed, and that is all needed to be said. She accused you of being a X worker, and while it's nothing wrong to be one, it's not something you say to the innkeepers while you travel. She disrespected you, your husband, and your home. So you threw her out. Good riddance to bad rubbish. NTA. Her husband could have gone home too or taken everyone to a hotel. He is the one she should be mad at, not UOP. Her own husband wouldn't pay for her to have her stay in a local hotel. What more needs to be said? NTA. Lindsay has been jealous of your life for quite some time already. She was just wanting to be snarky at some time. She is too immature to understand that she is projecting her resentment towards James for their fiscal relationship unrealistically onto you. It's good to hear that James didn't let this slide regardless of her being his wife. You need to let James's mother know that this was not an isolated incident and was simply the flashpoint in a long series of snarky remarks, and if James really wanted her to stay, James needed to spend money for the hotel. You've already been generous enough in offering to host them. NTA. She FD around and found out. I wouldn't allow her in my home either. Also, if she has her own finances that are independent of those of her husband, she can pay for a hotel without his help, right? It's ironic that the very thing she accused you of doing is now a problem for her. Exactly this. Lindsay's jealousy at your lifestyle has made her act idiotically. If James chose to stay while Lindsay went home, OP, you are in no way responsible for that issue between them. Good for you. Too often we allow people to treat us badly, often in our own homes, so as not to seem impolite or make a scene. Bravo! Lindsay needs to learn from this incident how to be a better human being. NTA. NTA. I'm still amazed that he makes 25 times what she does and they are splitting finances down the middle. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.